Hey, welcome in. Today is a special day. It is May 4th. If you're watching this on a different day, I don't know what to tell you. But I wanted to do something fun for May the 4th be with you, which makes me feel like I have a major lisp, but it's May the 4th be with you. It's May 4th. You know, you don't live under a rock, and if you do, well, it's a thing, okay? So I wanted to do a build with base game and Journey to Batuu, the beloved Star Wars pack that, everyone loves. But honestly, I think it gets a bad rap. I don't hate this pack. I don't necessarily play the pack. I have before. I've dabbled a little bit and gone to Batuu, and I struggled. I did not know what to do. But it's a niche thing, right? It's niche. There's a lot of stuff packs, kits that really cater to different people. And so this one definitely caters to different people. And it's okay if you don't like Journey to Batuu. It's okay if you don't own it. I do. I own it. And I honestly use it all the time. It's got some great wallpapers, some great stone flooring. It even has some really good decor items. So there's like some vases and things like that I always end up using because they're so pretty. So I end up using the pack a ton. And that's okay for me. And if you don't buy it and it's not something you ever want, totally valid, totally understandable. But for me, I tend to use those things all the time. Building this house with Journey to Batuu and the base game, it's not like one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this look really like inconspicuous. You're not gonna know it's Star Wars. No. It's May 4th. We lean into Star Wars 1000%. Okay, well, maybe not like 1000%, but I give it my best shot and try to use a ton of the pack. I knew first off that I wanted to use that giant archway, that giant arch that you can find in the Star Wars debug. It's like, I think it's 7 tiles wide. It's gigantic and it's really cool. It's not something you can use in like an everyday build only because you're not going to want an arch that big all the time. But for this, I knew that I had to use it. So I do. I honestly wanted to use the really big diner seat, the booth that comes with the kit. You also get one in like Dine Out, but I never feel like I can make them work. And it stays true to this. I didn't make it work. I ended up getting rid of it and putting one of the other Star Wars tables. But for this build, because we were leaning into Star Wars, I leaned into a lot of the wooden and metal base game items. So that's going to look like the kitchen you're looking at is the raw kitchen counters. And I end up using a lot of those pieces when we talk about like nightstands or even the bookshelves that I use. They all have that same kind of style to them. And so I lean into that, use that a lot because it felt like it really went with the industrial style that Star Wars kind of leans into. I end up putting a really cool bar here. So that's the Star Wars bar that you find in the cantina. I think it looks so cool kind of backed up against the wall. It makes a whole moment. And then what I've done here inside the archway, I have this really nice glass roof and I go ahead and make that little section a plant art studio, if you will. Upstairs, I played around with the idea of having roommates or having like a father-son duo, but instead we just do a sim and an office, like a bedroom and an office space. I used the fighter jet desk because that's totally what it's geared after. You know, it's geared after Star Wars, even though it's not in the Star Wars pack. But I use that desk and I go ahead and make kind of an office, a gaming room, not really gaming room because we don't have all the cool stuff that comes with like high school years. So we just kind of lean into like what it would look like if he had like a little setup. We use the cool computer that has the green lights on the back. Like I said, I use those shelves that have that stylized raw, whatever they call it. It's always different names, but you know what I'm talking about. It matches the kitchen counters. So here I start kind of adding plants into this little green room, if you will, and I add a few planter pot, and then I go in and add an art easel and kind of add a little decorative items for an artist, and it turns turns out to be this really beautiful little area in the house. I use these really cool little drink shelves, and I think they add like a really special touch to the bar, just kind of having them stacked on top. Gives that like throw to the cantina and just makes it a little special moment in your kitchen right behind your bar. I like it. I was really happy with it. Now, the living room took me a hot minute to kind of get it together. It's a little bit of an awkward shape. There's not really any good blank walls. So knowing where I wanted a TV, I wasn't quite sure. We do end up landing here with the TV kind of between the archway and the staircase, and I really like that. I think it works really well. And I definitely use a lot of the Star Wars stone where I can and try to make good use of it. This house ends up being very dark and almost like grayscale. Obviously, there's pops of color here and there. Trying to stick with this like very industrial, I don't even know what to call it. Ugh, kind of this otherworldly feel in a sense. I don't know. I just leaned into that though, and I really like it. It's definitely different than what I would normally do. And honestly, if I took this shell and rebuilt it as something else, it would probably look super different. But I honestly had a lot of fun leaning into the Star Wars pack, kind of taking those weird windows that they have that are almost like grills and actually using them because I've never ever used them in my entire life. I'm not sure many people have, honestly. I decided to try out the wallpaper that comes with Batu. It's got that really nice stone at the bottom and then plaster. And while I liked it, I end up finding a brick that I like better. And what it really comes down to is the columns. The columns always. Because I want columns on the edges of the house, but columns don't go up into the roof line. And so then at the top of your wall, your column cuts off and then you've got like, let's say 3 feet of roof that doesn't have a column and it just stops, and it's just not fun, not pretty. So the way that this brick is, it has these cool edges to look like it's got columns on the edges. I really liked that style and definitely wanted to lean into that. It gives the corners a distinct look that I really like. I gave you this nice little like porch area in the front. We don't put a lot on it. We actually don't put anything on it at all. But it's nice to have. That way, if you wanted to put something up there, you could. If you wanted to put some chairs or something, just adds a little something extra. Then it's time to get in here and give us a back door and a little patio area in the back. Because this was just basically a giant cube, I went ahead and made some different rooms and lowered the platforms in the room, but it still left the platform walls, which I thought was a really cool look. Like you step down into your patio area and there's almost like these little walls. I thought it was really cool. I was really here for it. The like different look of it was really fun. I tried to decide what I should do on the back wall to add a little more distinct, special look. And Batu has these stones that I sized up and then made into basically this wall of stone. And it's so cool and different looking. I really enjoy the way it looks, honestly. It gives the wall some texture, brings it off of the wall a little bit, and just breaks up that flat back wall. Now we're getting in here and I've been adding wallpapers in, trying to find a good color scheme for this house. I decided to put some brick in here to kind of use up more of the Star Wars pack. We use some like wood paneling. I do change it to a grayscale just to kind of flow better with the house. And I'm serious. I'm here for it. It's so different than what I would normally do. I'm very colorful and honestly maximalist. You know this. I know this. There's no hiding it. But there's not a whole lot of stuff that you can add to the walls, honestly. Trying to keep in this style that I had set for myself. But I think it turns out really, really good in the end. I go ahead and do some brick upstairs, and then the plaster that comes with the Batu pack, I use it in the living room and in the little hallway upstairs. Then I'm just adding some cute little clutter into the shelves up here. I get into debug and show live edit objects and show hidden objects and add R2-D2, and I add in the BB toy. Oh my gosh. And I just try to make sure that I'm using a lot of like really quintessential stuff that you think of Star Wars when you see it. I added this little shelf for upstairs. I needed a little something in this hallway. So this shelf was a great moment. And you can see two of the vases that I use all the time, the red one and the green one. They've got some really neutral swatches and they look so pretty for decor. And then we're just putting like the Millennium Falcon and some other, like, once again, quintessential Star Wars items. And then of course a picture of Bob Pancakes eating pancakes because iconic. I decided to go ahead and put these blinds into the office. I thought it looked really cool. It's a little different. I don't ever really use those blinds. I do end up changing the bedroom a little bit, kind of bringing more gray in and pulling back from the blue. It was just too much blue. I haven't play tested this house yet. I'm gonna play test it before it gets up on the gallery. I definitely try and do that with all my builds. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but most of the time it does. So I will bring in a sim. We're gonna play test this, make sure it works. It'll be up on the gallery, of course. I always put my builds on the gallery. Not that you will want it, but if you love Star Wars and this is right up your alley and you have the Star Wars pack, then it's all yours. I really liked the way that rug looks. I'm a big fan of that rug, and it's got a good grayscale, but it wasn't the right size. And so when I shrunk it down, it was too small. So I ended up pairing 4 together, and I think it makes the perfect little like living room rug. Now we're just going through cluttering, adding plants everywhere because I really wanted to bring some greenery into this industrial, very hard house. I think that the green will always soften things up. I'm huge fan of the greenery. Just adding a little bit of clutter to these crates. And of course, we got to put Grogu in there. Little baby Yoda. He's just chilling on your little entertainment center. And a bag of money because, you know, you need a bag of money. Then I had Debug open, and this is an office space. So I throw all the postcards onto the little bulletin board. It was just a fun little thing to do. Kind of adds a little something extra. Give you a little alien in a tank, in a fish tank. It's really just minimal clutter things now. Trying to make sure everything is flowing right. The colors are all looking good. I lighten it up in the kitchen a little bit just because everything was really dark and gray, but I wasn't mad at it. That's kind of where I went with it. So I was here for it, but I definitely wanted to lighten it up just a little bit. Now in the back, I've got things like a trash can. There's not a trash can in the kitchen. So you have one out back. We put a chess table, a telescope, and a little table for you to come outside and sit and eat. I do put a grill back there as well. For landscaping, I wanted to do a little different, so I go ahead and take this little short fence, edge it out, put some green tile down, some grass tile. I go ahead and add some grass on top of it, some little square grass that you can get. Add that on top, and I really like the way it looks. We're just doing terrain paint and really finishing up now those last minute things. We're gonna go ahead and check out this Star Wars build. If you like this house, you can have it for yourself. It's going to be on the gallery. My EAID is katxthrash, just like the name here on YouTube. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Keep coming back for more. I hope you have a great night wherever you are. May the 4th be with you. Bye, y'all.